Welcome to our small little lecture here on plagiarism, titled Problematizing Plagiarism, The Road to Academic Honesty. So at this time, I want you guys to go ahead and retrieve your notebooks, and I want you guys to have your pencils out and prepare to take your notes.
What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is representing the work of another as one's own, but this is kind of vague, and I've discovered that many students enter my class without having a real understanding of what it means to plagiarize. I found this explanation of plagiarism from the University of Arizona to be one of the most clear. According to the U of A website, there are basically three kinds of plagiarism. 1. Using another person's exact words without including quotation marks and citation. If you use someone else's exact words, then you must cite the original source, either in a footnote or in a citation in the text, and you must enclose the words in quotation marks or else set them off from the rest of the text by indenting them from the other text. Think about it this way. What if you didn't have a car but you needed one, so you just stole someone else's car and said that it was yours? That would be theft, plain and simple. Aren't you doing exactly the same if you steal someone else's words and use them verbatim as though they were your own? 2. Using another person's words but changing some of them or rearranging them. This is plagiarism even if the source is cited. In this case, you don't have a car, so you take someone else's, but you change the color or the hubcaps or put some racing stripes on it and say that it's your car. Isn't it still theft? A related type of plagiarism that I see quite often is patchwork plagiarism, where students copy or paraphrase from multiple sources. If you own a chop shop and you take stolen pieces from a number of different cars and put them together to make one vehicle, isn't the car stolen? 3. Summarizing or paraphrasing another person's words without citation. If you use what someone else has written, but you describe it or summarize it in your own words, then you don't need to enclose it in quotation marks, but you still must provide a citation to the original source, either in a footnote or directly in the text. This is probably one of my toughest challenges because students don't actually think that they're plagiarizing. I often have to pose the question, okay, which parts of this are your original ideas in writing? In other words, if you take away all of the parts of the car that were not your own, would there even be a car? Final note. It's not enough to simply include a reference to the original source in your bibliography. Citation of the original source means citing it where it appears in the text. Many of my students will list a source in the bibliography but not make proper citations in the text. Going back to the car example, if you steal someone else's car but you keep their registration with their name on it in the car while people believe that you own it, haven't you still stolen the car?
At this point in the lesson, a classroom discussion would begin. The classroom discussion will be led with the teacher asking the students what their thoughts on plagiarism are. Another question the students will have to answer are, what are reliable sources? What do they feel reliable sources are? They also will be asked, how do you think we can identify them? The teacher will continue to lead a classroom discussion, asking these questions and guiding students to their thoughts. Now we know what plagiarism is, and we also have some thoughts on what we feel are reliable sources. The types of reliable sources that we can include are thorough, well-reasoned theories or thesis. We also need to check to make sure that the article we are reading includes strong evidence. This means that their opinion is not included in their writing. We also should check to make sure that their information is up to date. And we have to make sure that the author that is citing is giving credit to the original author. So how do we actually identify plagiarism? Some of the things that we can include in our notes when we identify plagiarism is, does the author use quotation marks with proper citing? Does the author include a reference page? How is the quality of the paper, length, mechanics, grammar, etc.? One of the things that I've always done when I'm reading an article, textbook, any kind of writing, is I like to ask myself, how does the author know this information? And a lot of the times you will come across data within an article, within an essay, within some type of writing. And if the author is not citing that data, you might want to ask yourself, how does the author know that information?
When I was in high school, I didn't always pay attention to instructions. So when it came to my homework, I would sometimes use material I found online without citing it. I would also ask my friends for help on my assignments and use their answers as my own. But as I got older, I realized that I had plagiarized and cheated even if I didn't do it intentionally or knowingly. Since coming to university, I have learned about academic honesty. I now understand that doing my own work will help me learn and succeed. I now feel more confident using my own ideas, and I make sure to cite my sources when using someone else's ideas. It's about being honest, responsible, respectful, and fair to others and to myself. Learn more about academic honesty at laps.yorku.ca/digital resources.
Now that we know what academic honesty means, what are some tips that we can include to be honest in our academics? Well, we can avoid cheating. We can avoid fabricating our work. We can avoid not providing that false information. And we can also not claim another author's work as our own. And if you feel that your work may not be honest, it may be time to reevaluate before you submit it. So in short, to show academic honesty is to cite appropriately, do not provide that false information, and do not cheat. Do not cheat on exams, your notes, or share information with others who might claim your information as their own, or vice versa. You don't want to take someone else's work and claim that is your own. I want you guys to ask yourself, are opinions appropriate for academic writing? Are they appropriate to use in the writings that we submit and have others read? So what are opinions? Well, opinions are expressed words from a writer. They are based on your own viewpoint. Opinions are also biased words. Some examples that we can see here are he claimed, the officer's view, the report argues, or people suspect. We need to avoid using these types of transitions, for you cannot cite something when you say people suspect. Well, suspect, if you think of that word, is biased. One person might suspect something, and another person might suspect something completely different. You cannot differentiate between fact and fiction here there. So it's important to use appropriate citing and appropriate research to back up your findings. At this point, the teacher will have a printout of an article that has opinions-based information. The students will be asked to read the article and highlight/underline the information that is opinion-based. So now that we know what plagiarism is, we know how to find reliable sources, and we also know how to identify plagiarism. We also know how to be honest in our academics. So what are some prevention tips? Well, one, we can keep track of our sources by using our reference page. When we paraphrase, we also need to properly use in-text citations. We should give credit to the original author. We should also ask our peers to review our work. And don't forget, take your time. It is now time for our exit slip. Go ahead and grab your exit slip paper, and I want you guys to answer the 4 questions here. The first one is, what is plagiarism? The second, what is academic honesty? The third, what are opinions? And the fourth, what are the tips to academic honesty? I hope you guys enjoyed your lesson on problematizing plagiarism, the road to academic honesty.